told me the way went. Show me the way home.
Yeah. All right, everybody, welcome to the Slackline, the third episode.
Welcome.
Here
Third
we are.
episode. We made it.
Yes.
We almost didn't make it.
We almost didn't make it. We were having some technical issues, so we're starting a little late today. But this is the Slackline with Jay Wow.
Wow.
The boss.
The boss is coming.
That's a made-up dumb fairy tale name, you.
All right. And as usual, like we did last week, we're going to start, let's see here if I can bring it up.
Toast. Okay, Luther, I'm going in.
What the fuck was that?
That was the mic test.
Oh.
That means it's the mic test.
Oh, okay.
So that's where
So lost.
the mic test is where we go back to last week. I did this last week. You obviously weren't paying attention.
Oh, it's
This is where we go back to last week and we'll check our levels to see if they are on point or if they are toast.
That's what
as noted in the intro.
Okay,
Those-
great.
So last week, let's go back. The mic test. What did we talk about last week? We had Exandria in the house.
We have Exandria here. It was great. We were talking about the friend zone. Then we migrated to sex and the feminist orgasm.
The feminist orgasm? The female orgasm. The feminist orgasm is different than the regular orgasm.
You know, it's new times. Yeah, the female orgasm and how boys are how men are still boys in that subject.
Oh yes.
And yeah, and today we're glad to have Stu and Aksel here.
Happy to be here. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. We got Stu Ferry. He's a geologist. He's sleeping on my couch for the next week when he's off work, and so he's just the de facto guest here on the Slackline because he woke up and rolled over and there was a mic in his face. And we also have Aksel Boss. Aksel is an actor, musician, model, all that fun stuff.
Shit, am I?
Yeah, I
know
think
was
so.
A model,
yeah,
I'll
Music
take it.
writer right now.
I mean, there are some
too.
really nice pictures of you. I've seen them, so
Oh, really?
we'll call that modeling.
Sweet.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll talk to you guys in a second. I just want to clarify one thing because when I'm going back through and I'm editing this stuff, sometimes we say some things and I'm like, oh man, that does not sound good, and I'm tempted to cut it, but I don't want to be doing that because that's obviously not what this is for. But that's what the mic test is for, so we can go back and be like, oh yeah. So when I said this, I was trying to convey,
Yeah,
so. There was a moment last week that wasn't so shining for me where I may or may not have seemed to suggest that a girl who might have trouble orgasming should just be turning around and sucking her guy off. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. That's how it came out. And actually, Exandria threw out what I was actually trying to get out, but I just kind of dismissed what she was saying. I was like, no, I'm trying, let me explain. But she actually said what it was. What I was trying to get at is that if that's the situation where a girl's having, like, she can't come from penetration or whatever, like, that the partners that she's working with, I mean, they should be finding ways to make each other reach that point, kind of regardless of what that means, whether it's penetration or whether it's going down on each other, and all that fun stuff. Like, whatever your partner needs to be reaching that point, you should be attending to that that need. Yeah, all that fun stuff. So I just wanted to clarify that. I don't think that girls should just be going around giving blowjobs when they can't come, because that's not their fault. So, Joao, how about yourself?
Well, I agree with you. Yeah. Well, so last week we talked about the female orgasm. It was a really interesting topic. I had a not very shiny moment as well. I came out as a creepy guy that would invite girls to a nudist beach just to see them naked.
Nice. Of course.
And of course, it was out of context. But I won't explain much because people that know me know me. And
yeah, I think actually through the course of that that little spiel last week, you kind of explained yourself out of it. And, you know, at the same time, I mentioned, you know, sometimes we do creepy things by accident, or you're not really sure, and, you know, as long as you're kind of learning from them, it's fine. So, and you didn't take it too far.
That whole story had a background, but this story's so long that I was like, I'm not gonna explain myself. I don't have to.
Thing is, man, it's so easy to put your foot in your mouth without just getting your words straight first, and then you hear yourself say it. You're like,
and
oh,
this
man,
is
right.
not even live.
I got some work to do here.
Yeah.
Just get a shovel, start digging myself out of this. Whatever you said.
Man, it's even worse when you're like staring at them right in the face, and they're just like,
you're like,
"What are you talking
man.
about?" Like, if you listen to that last episode, you'll see me at the end of that thing. I was just like,
"Oh shit."
You know what? No, I don't know what I'm talking about.
That story matters.
But that's actually really good because that's closest to live that we can possibly get. Like, we're not editing that stuff because eventually we want to go live, and in live you can just if you say something stupid, it's gonna sound stupid and it's gonna be stupid. But the main thing here is that we know that we are a little bit stupid. I mean, we're not perfect, and that will come out.
Yeah, that's the point, right? Like, and that's why we want to have people come in and talk about, you know, if they have experience like that. Like we were talking about the friend zone and sex, and so we obviously want to have a woman who's open-minded and who is strongly opinionated to talk about those things, so we can really get down to the
Alexandra seems very open and yeah, the right person you would talk about that. So.
Yeah. Well, she was the one that wanted to talk about it, right?
Oh, okay.
So,
The friend zone.
The friend
The
zone.
friend
Yeah,
zone's a funny one. I feel like that's something of like, I don't know, high school years. Like I think at this point, the friend zone is just kind of something that's, you know, something works out or it doesn't, you move on.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that's kind of what we got into.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just about immaturity and lack of honesty, basically.
It is pretty high school, but a lot of you would be surprised of like how much of guys that are not in high school for many years, like they left high school already, they still have that thought.
Mm-hmm.
And Xander was really assertive in telling us that there's actually friend zone. It doesn't actually exist.
Mm-hmm.
It's purely rejection.
Yeah.
It's a nicest
Yeah.
way
Yeah,
to
for
say
sure.
that you were rejected.
Yeah, they just don't get the hint, I guess. You know.
Yeah, I mean, to say it doesn't exist is not true, though. Like that's like it's just a label that we put on this situation. Like it is a thing, obviously, or we wouldn't have a word for it. Like
Rejection ultimately is what it is.
yeah. Well, I totally agree.
It is just another expression. That's
I
it.
know, but that's what I'm saying is like, well, then just call it rejection. That's kind of what I said to Alexander. Like, well, then just say you don't want it. You know, it's not. Well, let's be friends or whatever. Like, no, it's yes or no, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's because the friend thing is a little bit organic, right? I mean, you don't go around asking people, "Hey, would you like to be my friend?" I mean, it just ends up being friends, right? Yeah. Not unless you're really like, I don't know,
Unless
you
you're,
really need some friends,
yeah,
right? Yeah, you probably won't get friends doing that, anyways. But
No, you'll take him to the nude beach for sure.
yeah, you fucker.
All right. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so that's the mic test from last week, and we'll just let that out with a little. Oh shit! I forgot that if I. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter because I can just cut it.
Yeah, that's the kind of shit that you can cut it.
Yeah, we can cut around this. All right, so we had a guest on last week, Bernie from Texas. He gave us his views on North Korea and Trump and where the world is going, and it wasn't quite what our opinions were in line with. No, it was a little out there, and so we did apologize to him, but that may have been offended by him. But we got a couple calls from people that were you know, either for or against what Bernie was talking about.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have Matt's former coach. He's online here.
Hey, yeah. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I was listening to your podcast the other day, and I heard you guys talking about that there North Korea problem, the nuclear problem, and thought I'd give you my 2 cents. Hey, Ricky, I see that, Ricky. Don't you throw that ball, son. Don't throw that ball. I'll give you a minus. I got the paper right here. Don't look at me like that. I'll minus you all the way back to homeroom, boy. Don't look at me like that. Put it down. That's right. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, the North Korea problem you guys were talking about, I think that I can really I can put it in terms of badminton for you guys.
Badminton?
Yeah.
Badminton, you can have some really nice comp back and forth with the shuttlecock just flopping back and forth over top of the net. Really nice, easy rallies. That shuttlecock looking nice, going back and forth, and somebody makes a mistake and pops that shuttlecock right up, and it's sitting nice and big and fat, juicy shuttlecock high up in the air, and the other side's just ready to spike it right down. Jumps up and just smashes it right down to your side, and you dive for it, but you can't quite reach it. And that's when you should realize that maybe you should be switching to doubles badminton, because then there'd be another person there to stop it. You know, hey Susie, I see you cutting corners on that lap, girl. That's a minus. I got it right here. You're minus. Each time you cut a corner, it's another minus, okay?
Coach, yeah, so
Yeah,
just
sorry
to
about that.
clarify,
Just in the
so
middle of class,
what
so
you're
yeah.
saying is that both countries should work together, right?
No.
No?
No, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, well maybe I'll help you out by putting in terms of kickball. So kickball is basically like baseball, except you play with your feet. And when you kick the ball, you can run to first base and then second base and third base and then home. You can't run from second base to home, okay? That's not how the game works, and that's what we got going on here. They're trying to run second base to home.
Sorry, Coach, you're just saying the rules of kickball.
Well, I don't think you really understand. Hey, Ricky, I see it, okay? Everybody on the line, everybody gets a minus. Everybody's doing last face to Ricky. Don't give me that. Look at him. I warned you enough. You all know it. No, yeah, thanks. I gotta go. Okay, I gotta go, boys. Thanks for having me. Okay, bye.
All right, we're gonna just hang out here. The coach is I think he's high on cocaine. I don't know, but I'm sorry about that. We're not gonna be having the coach again here because well, you'll see what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Matt, did you hear that?
Yeah, I did. Sorry about that.
Where were you?
I went to the washroom really quick. You know, I grew up getting coached by that guy, and
Yeah.
he is. I mean, the minuses are serious. Yeah,
You're still in contact with that guy though. Like,
yeah. Well, a little, like I called him because. Well, no, he called us actually. He heard us on the radio. and-
oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like, I used to coach you in your gym class.
Was he
and-
like that on the gym class?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that's why you probably don't like do any more sports right now, right? I don't know.
Oh no, I still do sports. He's a great inspiration to me. That guy. You should see the minuses I take off of people in life.
Oh, I can imagine that. Okay, so let's go for So what are we talking about?
Yeah,
today?
yeah. Well, we can probably take a quick break before we get into the real topics here. After all that crazy shit that was just going on there. So.
Yeah, I'm really stressed.
Yeah, we'll let you guys out probably with a little Crooked Spies. I'm thinking I have Shotgun playing right now. It's from their second album, Shotgun. All right, thanks. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Slack Line. We are here again with Jay Wow.
Wow.
And the boss.
The boss is coming!
That's a made-up dumb fairy tale name, you
And we got Stu Ferry and Aksel in the house. We're gonna turn it to Aksel for a little bit. He's a young man trying to make his way through the music scene here in Vancouver. Young man from Sweden.
Yep.
And he's got some excellent music he's putting out. It's varied. It's got some blues, a little bit of electronica and techno mixed in somewhere.
Yep.
And it's got some funky sounds. So
thanks, man.
Aksel, thanks for joining us today. We'll get you maybe playing something a little bit later, but for now, why don't you tell us about what you're doing right now?
I'm trying to just survive, I guess, in this weird-ass fucking city. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm studying acting right now at VFS, trying to do that. I played a gig at Chickpea up on Main Street a while back. That was really fun. They paid me $50 and a beer.
There you go.
Yeah, it was the best night in the world.
That's how it starts, man. Yeah.
I forget. It was like a coffee-inspired beer. It was so fucking good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A stout, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It was dark, like black coffee, but
Yeah.
it was so fucking good. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, honestly.
But so you got shows lined up, or you're trying to get shows lined up?
Yeah, I have another show at Chickpea in 2 weeks or something.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And on Saturday as well? On a Saturday as well?
Yeah, probably.
And are these all acoustic sets? Because I've listened to a few of your tunes, and we've been playing them throughout the cast here, and so people might notice. I mean, some of the electronic stuff and whatnot, you probably really can't do live, or maybe you have it pre-recorded, or what do you do for that?
Oh no, I'm a one-man operation.
Okay.
So every time I play, or the only one time I played, I was like, okay, so you heard my SoundCloud. Don't be disappointed. It's nothing like this. Just bear with me. And I played, and people seem to like it. But it's so different from what I put out on SoundCloud.
I mean, that's okay.
Yeah. So I played mainly covers, like Bob Dylan inspired shit. And I tried to squeeze in "I'm Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die," but I forgot the lyrics, so I backed out last minute.
There's only you had the lyrics right there, man. That's all it is.
It's like two verses and then a stick and then a bridge up and it changes. I didn't practice enough.
One day.
Yeah, one day. Next time.
That's all right.
Yeah.
But you're also now composing your own stuff, right?
Yeah.
And how's that going? How is your process?
I mean, it's weird because I have this weird thing that I kind of treat my voice as an instrument, so I don't really care too much of what's being said. So I loved Charles Bukowski, so there's one song I made called "Cross of Me." I stole the whole lyrics. It's only Charles Bukowski's poems, and then I just stole it and sang it. So that's kind of my process of writing.
That's interesting. What's the name of the song?
"Cross of Me."
That's great, man.
Yeah. We'll hear a little bit of that after this segment, probably.
Cool.
But you do everything yourself, right?
Yeah.
You record your voice and then the guitar and then some drums and.
I use my guitarist drum. I record the bass on the body of the guitar, and then I just smack the side of the guitar.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So what are you using to record then? Where's your studio space at, man?
In my bathroom at home.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. How you set up there?
Oh, I have a MacBook from 2009 and a Rode mic and T-USB microphone. So it keeps dying on me, and every time I try to change the reverb settings or something, the beach volleyball comes up again and loads for an hour. So it takes 5 hours sometimes to get something recorded. So it's not the most smooth process.
There you go, working with state-of-the-art gear.
Yeah.
You gotta love it.
Fuck yeah.
Well, that makes it all the much more impressive for you listeners that are hearing any of Aksel's tunes in the background or in between our breaks. You see where it's coming from. A guy in his bathroom can do that if you put your mind to it. So it's pretty impressive.
Shit comes from the bathroom for sure.
It's true, but it's not only a guy. Aksel's very. As we are all aware, it's very talented. I had the privilege of we play together and why not? And like your presence when you're playing is a big thing. Like I really think that you have a huge presence.
Wow, thank you.
How do you think that's different when you're recording than when you have people listening to you?
Oh, it's so different. Like I close myself into the bathroom for hours on end, just trying to puzzle piece everything together. And I have so much time on me, so I don't really feel the pressure. But when I'm playing in front of even one person, it's so much pressure. So I have to just forget about everything. So I guess that's what the presence you're talking about. I try to forget about everything.
But do you enjoy the editing process? Because I know, like, as a musician myself, I like the recording and the being on stage.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is the most fun by far.
Yeah.
But the actual, like, editing process and sitting there and listening to it over and over again, I find very tedious. Do you enjoy that part of it?
I do. It really depends. Like I haven't done a lot of live shows lately, but when I do, I know exactly what you mean. It's so like on you, you know. Yeah. It's like you're doing a theater play. Like totally. You do it or you don't.
Right. And if you mess up, you have to just roll with it.
Yeah.
Like you have to find a way to get through it.
And like you have to be somewhat charismatic as well, and especially if you're doing a one man band thing, you really have to own the stage, which is really fucking difficult sometimes.
It looks like sometimes when I hear you singing, it looks like you don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
Because every time that I see you playing, like it seems like you don't care if there's 10 people, 20 people listening to you, or if it's only you.
Wow.
That's what I think it's amazing because when I see that, it's just like it's you and your music, and you're really connected to that.
Wow.
I don't know. I would put that sometimes when I see you, it's like as like live. It's like as if you were actually maybe playing at your washroom again. You know, like it's not like you don't look like if you care if people like it or not.
Yeah.
You just like to play your music and that's it.
Yeah, I try to follow what I like. I mean, I can't really make music for other people. You know, it sounds pretty egocentric, I guess, but it's true, I guess. You know, you can't make music for Juan, or Juan can't make a movie for you. Like, you have to follow your own vision and your own, vision.
No, totally. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know about you. Like, when I'm recording or something, or just playing by myself, I purposely, like, kind of try to put myself in the on-stage moment.
Oh, yeah.
To try and get the best sort of charismatic performance, like you were saying, out of what can be kind of a stale process of recording, right?
Yeah.
Over and over again. Like, how do you feel about that? Because, like, if you're taking yourself kind of, like, you're doing it for yourself, obviously, I mean, you only write any sort of music or artwork for yourself, but, like, do you feel like you want to be there in front of people, or do you feel like you would rather be, like, you're going to close your eyes at the performance because you would like to pretend that there's nobody listening to you?
I don't know. It's hard for me to decide that like that. Like, I was in the film production with you guys for a while, and then I realized I'd rather be an attention whore and be like in front of the camera.
You're definitely a performer, and that's good.
Yeah, but sometimes I do feel like I want to be like a studio rat, just to sit in there and just work on whatever for hours and hours on end. But I don't know, man.
You can do both, man.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do, but it's hard to manage.
Well, you got to
that.
pick one first and get there like all the way, I think.
Yeah.
We also worked together. You as an actor, and I was directing the film when you were there, and it was so great to.
He was there, or he was.
No, he was acting. Yeah, he was still. Well, but it is kind of funny, but you can be acting, but you're not there. But Aksel is there. And it was interesting, and how do you relate? Bitch. How do you relate that acting and playing and performing a song?
I mean, it's in acting school we talk about how our bodies are used as instruments. I think it goes hand in hand with music and theater or acting in general. Like you use yourself so much to the point of where you can't really do anything else. I think that's why I have a hard time with computers and maths and politics and everything like that, because you actually have to go outside of yourself. I'm not very good at that. I don't think. And I think when you directed me, you knew that I'm very inside my head. So when you told me, like, okay, imagine that your girlfriend is on a plane and it's going to crash and you know it, but you can't do anything about it. Act. And it really worked, I think.
Okay.
Cool.
Interesting.
All right. Metaphors.
Yeah.
Metaphors.
Metaphor.
They help the acting
Metaphors.
process. All right, Axel. So it's my understanding that you prepared a little musical performance for us, as we just discussed briefly about 10 minutes ago.
Yes. I'm well prepared as usual.
Yes. Are you wanting to play something for us to
Sure.
take us into a little smoke break or something like that, and
Hell
then
yeah.
we'll get into something else after the break.
Cool.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. It's Aksel Boss, and what are you going to play for us today?
This is a song that's not done at all yet. I haven't really got a name for it, but it's called Bitch 2 now. I'll
Do you
change
have
the name
Bitch
later.
1? Do you have Bitch 1?
No.
Oh.
It's the same. Bitch 1 and Bitch 2 are the same.
Is it like Bitch also?
No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
just Bitch 2.
Bitch number 2?
The song was originally called I can't remember it, but it's called Bitch 2 now.
Okay.
Forever. Yeah.
Cool. And are you going by any name? You got like a
Yeah, you can hit me up on SoundCloud. I'm called Doyle on SoundCloud.
Doyle. All right. There you go.
Yeah, very charismatic.
Doyle's going to hit us with Bitch 2 right now.
Yes. Oh shit.
Just 2, please.
5 a.m. Waking up again, you know it, babe. Shades on me, shades down, all assorted now. Just kidding, yeah. 150 things you gotta do today. Boris looking at me like I'm crazy. You know I'm baby. Won't someone please put a bullet inside of me? I won't be screaming or yelling no more. We'll have a campfire and eat some s'mores. Won't somebody please let me understand her needs? I promise I won't yell or scream no more. But I'm bored. I don't know what is up and down. Boris licking Joao Jewa. I'm looking at the Christie collection, peep frames, assorted a la creams, the 300 greens. And I'm having a nightmare, I got a wicked dream. Won't someone please give me a smoke break? Yes, I know I'm walking on the Lionsgate Bridge, so far away from home. Feel like my heart is in a dome. Yes, I'm doomed to fail. You will soon put a bullet inside of me. Won't you please let me understand her needs?
All right. Yeah.
I'm very aroused.
That was fucking dope, man.
Very aroused.
That is Doyle with Bitch 2.
Yeah.
Man.
You got a name, Aksel Boss, going for you, and you're going with Doyle.
I know, right?
People tell me
I've told him
that. Yeah, I
since
know.
day one. I was like, man, you have the best name I've ever heard in my life. And he's like, really? I'm like, you can't just be bad. Just, yeah, man. Like, I'm stealing your name for a pseudonym.
Yeah. I saw that and I was like, wait, I'm not on there yet. Like, what is he doing? It's like, oh, okay, he just stole my name. That's fine.
Man, that was awesome. That is Doyle, Aksel Boss with a brand new hit of his. Man, I want the recording on that. That's a live track in studio playing with my guitar that we handed to him just a few minutes ago. So, yeah, really rad, man. And that's gonna take us into the break, and we'll play some more of Doyle's music here, and we'll go for a little bit of break here. All right, thanks. Dude, that was sick, man. It sounded good. Yeah? Yeah, it sounded good. Cool, man. Yeah.
Built in a house, half a block down, and I sit up here with the shades down, listening to the sounds the hammers pounding nails, and I hear the birds think they can go to bed. Put the covers to my throat. The air been making the sounds for a moment. I put the covers to my throat. The air been making the sounds for a moment. Across from me, you made a cross of me. I hope you see. You made a cross of me. You sit across from me without knowing it. You made a cross of me. You made a cross of me. Put it up through my cut of my throat. You built a cross of me. You had a cross of me.
All right. Hello. We are back on Slackline with JWoww.
Wow.
And the boss.
The boss is coming!
That's a made-up dumb fairy tale name, you.
So we all heard some excellent music before the break from Aksel Boss, aka Doyle, on SoundCloud. If you guys want to check him out, that was excellent. Some in-studio acoustic work from him. Very entertaining, very lovely, awesome. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
We're gonna turn to my buddy Stu Ferry. He is in.
What's happening?
He's in from northern BC actually. He's working on a rig up there. So he's a well site geologist, right?
Yeah, well site geo.
Well site
Geo.
Well site geo. But he's in town and he heard our podcast the other day and he had a couple things to say about it. So turn it over to him.
Well, I enjoyed it. I was pretty pumped that you decided to start doing this. It's pretty hilarious. But yeah, that first show you guys were chatting about Tinder, and I was just thinking in my head because, like, I what was the girl's name that you had on?
Makita.
Paulina.
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, I've had a couple situations that almost just prove her point. Sadly, is regarding like Tinder and kind of the presumptuous nature that kind of comes along with it, like, and also what we were discussing earlier about kind of finding yourself digging yourself out of a hole whether it's through actions or your words. Like, I'm in that situation more than I'd like. But anyway, so I was on Tinder in Liverpool when I left, and I was not feeling overly confident, but in my jacket pocket before the date, I took my toothbrush with me.
That's pretty confident, man.
Yeah, well, no,
You could probably just use some mouthwash.
Okay, hold on. No, the thing is, yeah.
No Listerine.
Okay, it's like, yeah, if that toothbrush had popped out, fell out of my jacket at the dinner table, yeah, I'd have some explaining to do.
Yeah,
which would
for
be
sure.
Which would be difficult.
Yeah.
Thing is, though.
It's like worse than a condom.
Well, no. Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah.
But I was like, anyway, so it obviously went well. Next morning, brushed my teeth, and the girl's like, how dare you, presume and you're...
Oh, really? She was pissed that you even afterwards.
She was like, what are you doing with that? And I'm thinking, okay, hang on. My oral hygiene is in both of our interests here, really.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't really see what the problem is. It's either I use it or I take it home with me, put it back where it belongs. End of story. But it was pretty funny anyway. And then that happened twice, actually.
Man, you come prepared. I have never heard of bringing a toothbrush on a date. It's a good idea.
Well, second time I was contemplating contact solution. I was like, oh no, that's probably pushing it. I'll just stick with
Where would you hide a bottle of contact?
stick with the toothbrush.
Yeah, that's probably a good call. Wow.
But yeah, so unfortunately that kind of proved your point. But in my defense, it's not like, oh yeah, this is gonna go. It's like,
it's just being prepared. Yeah.
Did you? I was just wondering. Did you brought some tooth paste as well, or? I mean, no, because maybe
you got
were
sensitive
upset
teeth.
because you used the toothpaste.
Perhaps.
You know?
Yeah. Least you could have do is use your own toothpaste, too, you selfish bastard.
Did you ask hey, good morning, can I use your toothpaste?
No. Just help
Man,
myself.
yeah, I mean, I kind of wish we had Paulina or Exandria to comment on that. I mean, that seems fine to me.
Yeah, there's more stuff that I'd go and do with that.
Yeah, I don't see why that would be. Man, I think that I can see a girl being thinking that's hilarious.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that seems funny.
That's
to
kind
me.
of my sense of humor.
Yeah, just it's in the morning, hey, can I borrow some toothpaste? Well, I don't really have an extra toothbrush. Oh, I'm covered. Just pull it out of your coat pocket.
What?
I think that would make me laugh. If a girl did that, I would laugh
it's
really hard.
How dare you? It's well, I'm here, aren't I?
What do you mean, how
you
dare I?
You want me to brush my teeth or not?
That'd be
I mean,
yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
I don't see a problem as well. I wouldn't see a problem if you brought your PJs or... I don't know.
I mean, if you can fit them in your pocket.
I would be. If I was a girl or a guy, whatever, I would be actually really pissed if you used my toothbrush.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, I would just offer that to a girl usually if she wants to
use my toothbrush.
If she wants.
I can't.
No, that's way too much for me.
Yeah.
Your mouth has been in her mouth the whole night. What's the fucking difference?
True, but shit in your teeth and your gums.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Once. Meh.
Well,
I think
you know
it would
why
cause
don't you have just spare ones? New.
Yeah, I do. I do
that.
I do keep I keep a few spares,
Yeah.
which I mean is the same theory, right? I keep those in the event that somebody needs to use it. Presumably, hopefully, a young woman that might come by. But
I mean, it's Tinder. You both know what's gonna happen, right?
Well, that's what
we kind of talked about. Was
see, it's not like that was my intent.
Yeah, it's just being prepared for the possibility.
Well,
of
of course it was your intent, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it was your intent.
I mean, it's not like I'm just gonna take my toothbrush because if we had dinner, after dinner, I always have to. It was your intent, but it's okay.
That's a good way to explain it. Actually, some people do that. Some people brush their teeth after every meal. It's supposed to be what you do. If it was to fall out of your coat, I'd be like, well, yeah, I brush my teeth after I eat. I mean, what's the problem with that? People do it at work.
Yeah, I would have flapped it for sure if it just popped out.
I was hoping to, I don't know, stick it in your butt later.
Oh my God.
Why not?
All right.
Anyway.
We've talked a lot about girl and boy stuff over the last few episodes. We kind of want to get away from that. There's a lot of shit going on in the world. I noticed a few things today. Actually, some stuff came out today that was pretty crazy. I don't know about you guys. I know Stu and I talked about it this morning a little bit, but number one is I should give a shout out to our sister city of Edmonton, Alberta. You got international people might not know where that is, but it's just north of Calgary, and they had what is being looked at as a terrorist attack so far because the guy he had a ISIS flag in his van or whatever, but he ran through a crowd of people with a van and hit a bunch of people. He stabbed a police officer a bunch of times.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No,
When did
yeah.
this happen?
It happened last night, I think, after the football game.
Holy shit.
I'll see if I can look it up here really quick. But
Whoa.
so I want to give a shout out to people in Edmonton. I'm from Calgary. We like to give each other ribs about Edmonton versus Calgary, but we're all humans here, and that's it's awful that stuff is happening even on our own soil. We try to consider ourselves a pretty peaceful country, but it's a reminder that we're not exactly safe from that. Not necessarily that we should be living in fear of it, but it is a reality, and so our hearts and minds go out to the families of anybody that is injured.
Was anybody hurt or like?
Yeah, there's people that were definitely hurt. I don't know. The last time I checked, I don't know if people had died or not. Even the officer who got stabbed multiple times was still alive, but in critical condition. So I'll see what happened here. So, and I mean, yeah. So that happened. I just want to give a shout out to those people. There's also a violent protest, or not. The protest wasn't violent. These people were trying to vote in Spain in Catalonia, Spain.
Yeah, the
were voting
referendum.
for independence. I guess the federal government in Spain claimed it as illegal. And they were going ahead with this vote anyways, and they forcibly removed a bunch of people from polling stations and shot people with rubber bullets. So, man, there's a lot of tension going on around the world. And Stu actually he's spent the last 2 years in Liverpool studying there, and he showed up just before the Brexit vote, actually, right? And we're there while it happened. So why don't you give us I'm interested to hear your thoughts on what happened.
Brexit was pretty crazy. I think that was kind of when I first started to take a real interest in British politics, just because I was surrounded by it. What was disappointing with it really was the fact that how uninformed the population really was. I think the first mistake was leaving a referendum like that up to people to make up their own minds, when clearly the general population were so misinformed that they didn't really know what they were doing, and that just kind of showed. And a lot of people really, by the looks of it, they'd base their vote, especially people that either chose not to learn about it or just were misinformed, would base their vote on some kind of shitty tabloid headline, some xenophobic statement about Syrian immigrants or some crap that's just bullshit really, and then would base their vote on that. So it's pretty disappointing. Liverpool is a really cool place. It's a super left-wing place, kind of like Vancouver. I didn't meet any I think I met one conservative and one pro-Brexit person the entire time I was there, so it's kind of its own thing, which was nice. I like that. And it's also a big university town as well, so lots of students. It was a cool place.
I remember you mentioning when we first talked about it, you were pretty upset about it happening, and I
was just shocked.
Yeah, shocked about it, I guess would be a better term. But a big issue for you was as a British citizen under EU, I mean, you were able to go and work in any of the EU countries, kind of move freely like that, and now that's not a thing anymore, right?
That's just it. I mean, a lot of the one side, the pro-Brexit stuff, it's almost exclusively based on lies and just fear of, people coming in, which is crap, really. And, they say, okay, crime's going to go up, this and that, and it's a bunch of shit. But from my perspective, you take that away, and you're just limiting opportunities for young people, whether it's to work, whether it's to study, or relationships even abroad. That just complicates everything, and just further isolating an island away from Europe seems like a mistake. But they made up their mind anyway, and there's no really going back from it now, I don't think so.
Well, aren't they still trying to figure out the actual finances of it and that type of thing? It hasn't actually happened,
it's
right?
It's gonna take a long time, I think.
But has it actually happened? Can you, or is it
No. There's so much. There's lots of British expats, for example, living in Spain and all over Europe, that they're gonna have to figure that out, whether they're gonna still have the right to live in Spain, or whether they're gonna get kicked out, or
So it's just like
I
this
think
vote.
I think the freedom of movement is still there
Right.
for people.
Okay.
Like, but yeah, so that they're not just gonna shut that off
Right.
immediately. But
So this vote has happened, and it's like, okay, this is happening. Do they have like? Do you know if there's like a deadline on when it has to be? Like,
no, I don't have a clue. Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna take years.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know.
That's
I think,
weird to
I
like
think
live in this
EU
kind of like limbo for a few years and not
for
know
sure.
like
That's
what's
why
happening.
It's so unstable, really,
Yeah.
especially for the British economy. Like the
Yeah.
pound tanked. Like London is all. That's the funny thing is England really has nothing to offer the rest of Europe.
Right.
To be honest, like
No, it doesn't.
no, it
It's
doesn't.
just-
There's
no resources or anything.
No, everything is brought in. There's no manufacturing there. There's really nothing except for London being kind of the financial hub of Europe.
Yeah, that's true.
But that could just be anywhere in the world. London could really be anywhere. Like when you go there, it's a cool city.
Yeah.
But all those companies could
Yeah, I
easily,
mean,
could just
just
easily
move
be
to
in
like
Berlin.
or
And then they'll
Paris
be
or
really
something.
screwed.
Yeah.
Even so, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's a shame. Another thing too is you look at the vote. Like young people didn't really turn up for the Brexit referendum, which is a shame. And the ones that did voted Remain, and the majority of the Leave votes came from people in their 50s.
Right.
And the shitty thing about that is that you look at that and it's thinking, as bad as it is to say, it's like it's not really your life anymore to make these kinds of decisions for the next 100 years, let's say.
Yeah, you have people that are like 5-10 years away from retirement, or even retired already, that are making these decisions.
Virtually
for
has no
whole new
impact
generation
on
of
them.
people. Yeah.
So it's all the young people that are going to be affected. It was pretty crazy to be around. I got to vote in it, which was cool. Same with the general election. I was able to vote.
Oh
in
yeah,
that, which was nice.
But that one,
was
that
exciting.
didn't exactly go a great way either. Oh no, but like
it went well. Like,
yeah, because
so,
they called the election thinking that they were gonna consolidate more right wing power into this like Brexit bullshit, and then like it totally backfired. They ended up with a minority government, right?
Yeah, they like Theresa May. She called the general election thinking she was just gonna kind of secure her position, and just like you said, that backfired completely. Labour gained a ton of ground in places that you would think would never vote a left wing majority. Like there's some really, really rich places in London, some really rich districts in London, kind of like the equivalent of like Texas all of a sudden flopping to Democrat, something that's just like totally unheard of.
Right.
Which is pretty cool. And the good thing about that is they lost a lot of ground, and now I'm kind of happy Labour didn't get in, because then they would have to deal with the Brexit negotiations. Chances are that's probably not going to go well, so hopefully the Tories will just make a big mess of that, and then kind of open the doors for Labour to take over the next one.
Interesting. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. As you said, like I mean, it's not isolated to England or Europe, right? Like there's these kinds of separation sort of things coming up all over the place. Like even something like in the U.S. Where you're having all these clashes of old ideologies coming up against newer people that are being like, no, like we shouldn't have these statues and that type of thing. And there's all this talk of like even like crazy talk of like secession and stuff like that. Like you never know if stuff like that can happen, but I mean like there's that uprising we just talked about in Spain, and like these things are happening.
The one in Spain is I have a friend that I met in the UK, a Spanish guy named Ramon. He's from San Sebastian in the Basque Country in the north of Spain.
Okay.
And they've had a lot of in the past a lot of problems with wanting to leave Spain. They've actually had like their own kind of terrorist groups that have murdered Spanish citizens that wanted to remain with Spain.
Wow.
So it's probably worse there. It's definitely had been more violent. But I thought that's calm. They still have like a separatist government that I don't know if they're part of their like local constituency or not still, but I think now they have some sort of tax benefit that's kind of motivated people to try and remain in Spain. But I know Spain's pretty divided as a whole. I don't really know why. I don't really know anything about Spanish history, but
yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's and as you said, like it seems to be all sort of motivated. Like we don't know anything about Spain, so I can't say much about that. But like as far as Brexit is concerned, as far as like tension in the U.S. is concerned, and even like places like Germany and stuff like that where they're taking a lot of immigrants, like it's all based on this fear of new people coming in and causing these attacks and that type of thing.
It's just nutty, man.
It's
like
nutty.
These people leaving a war zone.
Yeah.
You can't blame someone for thinking, we can go. There's a place where we can get universal health care. Like we can benefit from these things. That's what the country's about.
Mm-hmm.
And the people there are just have a really, really bad attitude. England's going very much kind of the direction of the U.S. as far as just kind of this strange backward mentality of being obsessed with kind of consumerism and reality TV. It's just pretty nutty, and they have a very like superficial view of certain things. It's strange, man.
You mentioned, and I think it's just so it's just so fucked up how the right wing parties around the world, like we can say like many countries, the U.S. or UK or Germany, Brazil, and how much of their information is based on fake news.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Like last week, Trump on TV. Yeah. They counted 23 lies. Of him on TV.
Yeah, man. Nobody cares.
And he's the one saying fake news all the time. He's the fake news.
Well, it's purposeful, man. It's purposeful. It's
and we have in Brazil, we have I don't consider we have a president right now. There's a vice president that got into power through lies. So he made himself into power. Just they had he overthrown the president through lies, and because they had people and the right wing parties on his side, So yeah, we have a situation like this fear, fake news, and lies all around the world, putting people into actually into power, and we would never think of that. Trump was a joke until it wasn't anymore.
What comes down to it too, though, is like misinformed people that are voting. That are just I think it comes down to people just not knowing.
Well, that's part of it, but there are also people that are blissfully ignorant. Like they're like, you can't seriously like watch something like Trump or like listen to these things that he's saying, and like you have to have extreme cognitive dissonance to be able to be like, oh well, it's okay that he said that, or like they found that a bunch of his advisors, including Ivanka and her fiance or whatever, his son-in-law, they're married, I think, are using private email servers to communicate with foreign national or foreign diplomats and stuff like that. Exactly the same thing that they're the reason Hillary Clinton is not president of the United States. It's happening multiple times, not even months later, and nobody fucking cares.
Yeah, it's like scandal after scandal.
Yeah, it's ridiculous,
the
man.
Comments he made about women too.
Yeah, and you know what I think it is?
People just forgotten about. It's like
and we're talking about how it's happening all over the world, and I kind of mentioned it briefly when we talked to Pau about feminism and stuff, and just like white people and those types of things. But I think there's just like this last gasp of this generation of people that have lived with, this was their reality, right? Like, it was okay to be racist. It was, people that were of a different color weren't getting the job opportunities that you were, so they weren't in competition. Like, all this stuff was like a reality, like not even like 30, 40, 50 years ago. Hang on.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so like now you have these people that are, they're in positions of power, and they're like, oh shit, like that life is getting just like ripped away from me because our generation is becoming more and more populous and getting into these positions of power now, and they're going like, it's obviously becoming like a majority slowly of people that are thinking a different way. And so this minority of people are really like being like, no, like that is the way that I know life to be. And they're just gripping so tight that it's starting to erupt into violent clashes. And that's not to say that they're all old people. There are young people that are involved in this too, obviously, but they're involved in it because their parents and stuff like that are still perpetuating these values. And that generation is still, I think, getting smaller and smaller, but it's just getting more and more violent because their values are disappearing from our like social concepts.
That's a great thought, but I think it's still a very optimistic thought, because that's the thing. I don't think that it's a minority. You see, like you see in a lot of places, a lot of people and young people supporting this kind of behavior. rallies with, and you see the people in those rallies, the like right wing and
There's
fake
it's
news,
still it's a
and there's
minority,
thousand
man. It's a
and-
small
it's
minority
not-
of people.
I'm not sure it's a minority, man, and I'm not sure we are communicating our thoughts through people that disagree with us. So it's just out of an
I would
example.
agree with that.
I was when we had the former elections. My group of friends in Facebook, most of them have the same opinions that I do. So I was posting something about this party, like more to left, more to human rights and whatever. And most of my friends were posting that kind of stuff as well. So in my mind, and through the social media for the things that I was hearing, this would never happen. Like our president would never get impeached because almost all my friends were against it. Yeah. Now, it got impeached, and I was like, what happened here? Like everyone that I know was saying that it was not. They were against impeachment, but of course, my social media does not it doesn't go over my friends.
That's exactly how it was for me with Brexit. I was sure because of that, I was certain it was going to wake up. I was going to wake up the next day as a landslide for Remain because everything I was reading, everyone I was speaking to was like, this is crazy.
Well, part of that is that, I mean, like your Google searches and your Facebook, it shows you things that, I mean, there's algorithms that track your tendencies and shit, and it shows you things that you agree with, and like that's why you get shopping ads along the side of your Facebook that are like things that you were just looking at a couple days ago. Like that's not an accident, but like
when you look at like what you're saying about this last group of people, you think about it. This like older baby boomers, let's say, like old white people in their like 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
Their grandparents were part of the generation responsible for the genocide of Native Americans.
Like we're not that far
so it's
behind
like when they were young, it's like politics, sports, all that was dominated by white people.
Totally.
So they've got that in their mind from a young age, and they've seen these changes.
Right.
So thinking from that perspective, it's no surprise they're a bit fucking crazy.
That's what I mean. Like they're seeing all this stuff change, and it's not what they're used to, and some of them are getting like violent about it, and so it's not great, but it's not surprising. I do think that it does mean that like it is gonna turn eventually, but that doesn't mean it's not gonna be without bad things happening first. Like to say it's optimistic, I wouldn't call myself optimistic. Like what I'm talking about is like you're talking about like violent attempts at revolution in places, and things like we saw in the U.S. where people are trying to peaceful protest, and it turns into this like whole shitbang of like terrorist attacks and that type of thing. Like it's just getting more and more ramped up as they feel their values getting ripped away.
It's true. Well, one of the reasons I think is that we kind of bet our money back in the past into democracy, and democracy is pretty young if you compare to all the system that we have. Now, we realize now that democracy has its flaws, and people are just turning around and think, okay, if democracy doesn't work, so we shouldn't, just put something tougher there, and it's kind of like a dictatorship again, because that's kind of what Trump is trying to do. It's like through democracy, but if you look the things that he's doing it really resemble a dictator.
Oh yeah, it's like just completely ignoring the actual processes that they put in place to like check the power of the president and things, those types of things, and like, man, it's fucking insane.
As controversial as it is, if you have a competent person that's fair, a dictatorship works. Like there's in Oman, they have a dictator, but he was when he was a kid, he was sent to England, was educated, got a really good background, comes back. He's now the leader of the country, and the country's just flying.
But that's the thing.
Like human rights, women are treated equally. Everything, the country's just taken off. And because
it's usually not like that, right?
It's rare
it's
that
like
someone's
one
in
in
a
1,000 dictators, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about it, we still have some people back home when we had democracy in Brazil was gaining again in 1988. Before that, we had 20 years of dictatorship. And now people look back to the times of dictatorship and they're like, oh, maybe we should go back to those times because we had better education, we had better healthcare, we had better this and that. But of course, the minorities were being oppressed, and the news were all controlled by the regime, you know. So you never know what was true back there because you actually didn't have the information. You know?
That's just it. When in that position, if they start limiting, controlling the media and stuff, then it's obviously not going to work.
And part of this this group of people is that they see. Like it's blissful ignorance, right? That they see something that is fake news or whatever, and it's some story that's not real, but it is something that aligns with their values. They're just gonna take it as truth, regardless of how much you tell them that it's fake. That's not real. Like that story is not real. They go, no, you're the one. You're looking at fake news, and it's like. Oh, I'm looking at 10 different news sources that all say this, and you're looking at fucking Breitbart.com or whatever. Like, what do you think is the truth?
Yeah.
Well, they think the truth is the one that they already agree with, and that's what this whole campaign has been predicated on. That's why we have this stuff. That's why the Russians were able to do this type of stuff, because they see these patterns and they go well, we're just gonna push this. Then we're just gonna create a bunch of fake Facebook accounts and all this stuff, and we're just gonna push all this. This crap media about Hillary Clinton and about how great Trump is and all this type of stuff that's gonna. I mean, it's not like they're actually going to the poll stations and influencing the fucking machines, but if you can get into that psyche and make people show people what they want to believe, then they're not gonna check anything else, and that's a big problem. Is we have to be in this world where there's just getting inundated with information, and it's great where you have so much access for information, but it's coming at us so fast that you have to be able to check sources against things. You have to read 2 or 3 different things from different places to understand what's actually happening.
Sure, and people's mind are really weak in that sense, generally speaking, because all of that just fall into shit when a guy comes with a slogan and creates a fake dream saying, "Make America great again." And that's not only in the States, you just create something really strong that in one point this was great and we have to go back to the past. But that's the thing. You cannot go back to the past. You can.
Well, and there's the illusion that it was great in the first place. And it's wait. Exactly. And that's what all these movements start coming up, like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. And people don't realize that it's born out of this this past of wait, you want to return to that? No, my people were getting fucked back then. We don't want that again. And that group of people is becoming an increasing minority. And like I said last week, it includes us as, yes, we're young Caucasian men, but we don't align with the values of the 50 to 80-year-olds that are making these decisions. They don't represent us, right? And so we're starting to fight against it too.
It's true, but as Xandria said, and she pointed it out, here, and it's slackline, for instance, we might be the minority. Mm-hmm. That's what, who said that we are the majority of people are thinking that way?
I think we're becoming the majority really fast.
Well, it's good. I really want to believe in that, but we're just gonna see how. Well,
isn't it kind of inevitable? I mean, if the majority of us are aligning with these values, let's say the people that are getting influenced by their parents, which I think is a waning amount. Not everybody that comes from these families that have these values are going to be indoctrinated into those values, and it's going to be less than they would have been before because these people have more access to information. So if they have 5 kids and before they could get all of them on board with their shit, and now they can only get 3 of them on board with their shit, then that means that it's shrinking exponentially, right? Obviously that in biological and geological terms, it's doing it slowly, but it is gonna be, I think, this pretty rapid shift in the next decade or so, couple of decades, as those people very quickly become a minority, as the people that are fighting for their values now in all of this stuff with the healthcare in the U.S. and things, only 25%. 12% of people actually approve of them pushing this stuff through. It's just the people that are in these positions that are that are fighting for their own personal tax reform and their own fucking salaries and all this shit. That they're all like 75 plus, and they're gonna be fucking dead soon.
It's true.
They're
But,
the
other thing that
but
plays
you know
in-
what? Of course, we know that the majority of the votes for it wasn't for Trump, but still there were a lot of fucking votes.
Yeah, well, I think that a lot of that is, it's not just the blissfully ignorant people that ended up caught in that, it's the misinformed people that Stu was talking
and
about
the
that
other
just
thing
didn't
too,
know.
that's, Trump pretty much has exclusive of the entire vote is the religious right in the U.S. That's a whole nother thing that, they're never going to vote Democrat. They're always going to be basing their vote on their religious beliefs.
Totally.
And the Republican Party will always have them in their back pocket.
Not even religious beliefs. Like there's almost a religious sort of feel to how they view their parties. Like it's a professional sport or something, and like they have to cheer for their team regardless of how much it goes against, like how much they suck or something. Yeah. It's like no, you can change what you think. Like and so you can change what you think, and I don't understand really what I'm talking about because Joao distracted me with a piece of paper.
Hey man,
I lost my train of thought. I know, you're right.
The U.S.
Right.
is the only Western country that doesn't completely separate church from state. Like,
Yeah,
there's
I
no
know.
other Western leader that has to say Jesus this, God,
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
I know.
To
I talked to
secure
my
that
dad
vote.
about that not long ago, like a year or so ago, and I was like, they need like a true separation of church and state. Like it's not there, and my dad's like, oh yeah, it's there. It's like written in the Constitution. I'm like, could somebody run for president of the United States and say they don't believe in God?
Oh,
and he's
no
like,
chance.
no
Yeah.
shot. And I'm like, then it's not a
just the-
separation.
It's not mentioned.
Because
in
I don't
any
give a
other Western
fuck
culture.
what our president or prime minister's affiliation is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't ever remember in my entire life it ever coming up for any politician. Really, like
what their
even
you know,
in the most
private beliefs
conservative
are.
area of this country, it never really came up. Like, oh, this person's like a Mormon or something. Like, never, maybe once, and everybody's like, oh, okay, like nobody cares.
If anything that came up, people would be like, "Yeah, no, that guy's not. That guy's not getting elected."
yeah. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff is happening in the Eastern European area, and we had a couple guys calling in that are from, I'm not really sure where they're from, but it does seem to be some kind of ambiguous Eastern European accent. I'm not really sure where, if I can nail it down. I think I've heard, if I got this correct, we have Nikolai. I think we have Nikolai. Can you hear me?
Here.
Yeah. Okay, we have Nikolai on the line, and we have his younger brother, Milos. Am I saying that right?
No, you're saying it wrong. It's Miloš.
Milos, and do you both speak English, or only one of you, or how is this?
Do you speak,
Little bit English.
I
Okay.
speak a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so what you guys were listening, and you wanted to call in?
I
what?
want to talk a little bit about immigrant people in UK.
Okay, yeah, you heard our Brexit talk, and so how do you fall on that?
I think is great. Yeah, it's good to have.
Brexit was great, or our conversation was great?
Brexit's good.
Okay.
It's good. People have to have their country back. You know.
Yeah.
I was immigrant there, but I agree the Brexit. You agree?
Yeah, they didn't want us, and I agree, cause I don't like immigrant. So
But you don't like, but you are immigrants.
You are immigrant.
You-
You calling immigrant who?
you are very rude now. Immigrant and immigrant difference, right?
My apologies.
No, daar zijn we interessant. Je kent er al paar immigrant.
Ну, макаш нас не знабось.
Ja, просто не кидай, иммигрант снигер, maar zijn we er al hier.
А баришарахера, но косни.
Hier, zijn we hier.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry. Where are you actually from? What language are you speaking?
We born in a country that don't exist.
They took away from us when we were 10.
Yugoslav.
No, Yugoslavian. Yugoslavian.
Okay, well, I don't know what you're saying, but I'm sure it's offensive. Yeah, so,
I used to be a Uber driver in UK.
oh, and you guys, are you living in the UK now? Are you still Uber driving?
No, we come to Canada with
Yeah.
fake papers and
Yeah.
come to Canada.
Oh, yeah. I don't think this is a broadcast. The radio people might.
Oh,
be
people don't hear this shit. I
No.
see it's like 6 people listen, no problem.
Well, all right, fair enough. So you came here illegally, and you're an Uber driver. We don't have Uber in this city yet. It's just getting started up. Have you been running a
okay.
taxi or what?
No, I'm a cook chef. I'm a chef.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
What do you cook? What's your special?
I don't cook.
Oh,
I just chef.
just chef.
I
What is
tell-
that? What's the difference between
I
cook and
tell
chef?
people do this, do that. You take this, you take that. That's a very interesting thing in Canada. You have to be strong, and you have to look like you know what you're talking about.
You have to be a manly man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
with a
are we
big,
talking about?
What's it? Drick. Big drick.
Brushniga balls.
Brush balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
You have to have good balls.
You have to have
Good,
balls.
good set of balls.
Good
Okay.
balls, strong mind.
what
yeah,
are-
strong, very almost still.
Excuse me, John. Didn't you call in to talk about the immigration issue?
Yeah.
So what are we? Where are your thoughts on that? I mean, because you're kind of getting off track talking about your balls. I mean, we're not censored here, so you can talk about your balls, but it just seems a little bit off topic.
I don't know. I think
We are concerned about immigrants not getting work, you know?
Right, but you don't want. You're concerned about the immigrants now.
Yeah.
no, not all the immigrants, just us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we used to bike, and they took my bike when I come to Canada. So I don't have a bike, but I need a bike to work, yeah?
I stole a bike for you last night.
Oh, okay, baš na kanto živimo.
Sorry.
Was that my bike?
No,
What do you?
no,
No, it's my bike now.
it's rental.
But yeah, so Uber in UK was very good. They pay me very well.
Yeah,
I used to tell the client to pay a little bit more,
yeah.
but they kick us out of UK.
They kick you out
Yeah.
because of the Brexit.
No.
Oh, why did you get kicked out?
Sometimes he would get angry, and papers not sufficient, not good, so we don't live there anymore.
Yeah, I took people to point A to point B. That's my job.
Yeah.
And Milos knows. We do a little bit Uber too.
So did
But
Milos?
one night I took two girls and they call Uber. Really nice girls. They were in the club.
Yeah.
You know, and took them to my house.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to do that.
But
Did-
I
did
told
they-
it's okay, cause I lie. I told them that I needed to get gas.
But
and,
so how did you got to your house where your gas was?
No, I was just lying. And I go there, and I tell them to be, pretend that it's your house, and they did, and we drink a little bit, and
So that they were there consensually. They came into your home.
No, I locked the door.
Oh.
So we were having.
have to.
Yeah, you had to, because otherwise they run.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you had to be tough.
Hey guys,
Why you laugh? It's not
It's
funny.
not.
I don't think we can what are you actually talking about here?
We talk about ladies being ladies, and they have to be ladies because they're not men. We are men.
We are men, and we have big steel balls.
Yeah.
You see my ball outside?
It doesn't really sound like so. Are these women still at your house?
I'm not sure, because I locked the door after and I left, and the
We
house
haven't
was on
been-
fire.
Yeah, we haven't been home because house is gone.
Well, I think we're gonna keep you guys on the line while we. Hey, Joao.
Hey,
Call 911, Joao. I think these guys.
hey, fucker! Hey, take your hands off of me, you fucker! Hey, Milos, take the gun. Я прошу тебя, давай. Не просинай, я подсюда давай. Я тебя прошу тебя, прошу тебя.
I'm really sorry about what was happening there, people. I don't have enough. I don't have enough little sound bites to
Man,
express how terrible that was. I
Who
think
are those guys?
it sounds
We
like
need
they
to
got.
pick up like who's picking up those?
I don't know.
calls,
I
man?
think.
What the fuck?
Can
need
we
an
spread that?
assistant.
Hopefully, we can spread this out to a wider audience that maybe is not as awful.
Did you see
people.
what he did? He just showed his balls on the way.
Yeah, they were actually steel. I saw the glare of the sun.
That was
Yeah, it almost
terrible,
blinded me off of his
Yeah.
steel balls.
Yeah, it's really shiny.
Anyway,
Wow. I'd hate to end it there, but I think we're gonna have to call it a day after after such a terrible
Yeah,
thing.
I'm a bit
Yeah,
shocked.
I have. Yeah, I'm gonna just let us out with one of these just to make sure everybody knows that we don't condone that.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right. Well, thank you for coming, Axel.
Thank
you
you
for
having me,
coming,
guys.
Stu.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
Axel,
me.
Stu, thanks for coming, boys. We'll Axel, we'll see you around.
Yeah, man.
Stu, we'll see you in a few minutes sitting on my couch watching TV. And thank you to everybody for listening, and we'll let you out with some of Axel's music. We'll listen to some of Doyle on the way out. Thanks for providing the music today, Axel.
Thanks for
And
playing it.
yeah, no problem. We'll have you back again, and we'll you guys follow Doyle on SoundCloud along with the Slackline, and everybody will be happy with nice music. Okay. All right. Thanks. See you guys.
Lord, please, I could take a guess. Oh, would you please? We are ready. I'm lifted by the Spirit's peace. I guess we're never going home. Never joining St. John. Could never be alone. Well, I guess I'm well adjusted, but the pains they never leave, except for my feet. I keep my arms in my suitcases and my shoulders halfway down to the ground. There's definitely something cooking. This guy keeps on looking. I have people shouting your name. I have people shouting your name. People shouting your name. People shouting your name.